Alright, so there's been a leak of the next Prime WarFrame as well as the next Prime weapons. You can probably guess who the Prime WarFrame is based on what you're seeing here. Yes, it is Wukong Prime. The Monkey King is receiving his Prime, Shimhong is getting himself gilded, so let's have a look at what the next Prime gear is going to be. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is, of course, Wukong Prime. He is, of course, the Warframe that is coming with the next Prime access. So, there's a couple of changes between Wukong and Wukong Prime, the first of which is a slight bump in the armor. So it goes from 250 armor to 275 armor. This is overall not that big of a change, as 250 armor by itself, without steel fiber, without all of those beams, 250 armor is just going to give you around about 45.5% damage reduction, as opposed to 275 armor, which gives you 47.8% damage reduction. So overall, not that big of a deal. I guess it's a nice welcome buff. You'll stay alive a little bit longer, you'll be a tiny bit tankier, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. Next change is going to be to the energy pool. So the base energy pool will go from 120 to 130. That's probably a slightly more meaningful change than the armor, in the sense that at level 30 you will go from having 188 energy or thereabouts to probably somewhere around 210 or thereabouts. Probably, it's unclear like how much energy you'll end up with at the end, but that's kind of what we're dealing with the energy pool, at least. So that's a lot better than having a tiny bump in armor, and overall this will just serve to make your your big stick last a little longer, so that's good. Health, the base health will remain the same, but we are seeing a bump in the shield amount. So we're seeing a bump from 100 base shield to 120 base shield. This is overall just going to serve for the level 30 amount of shields that you'll end up having, because you probably don't need to put redirection on Wukong anytime soon. I'd still recommend using Vitality. You wouldn't even really want to use Prime Vigor on Wukong as of yet, especially with that high level of armor. You can just stick to Vitality. So Wukong Prime will still have more health than he does shields. And finally we have the sprint speed, which is actually increased from 1, i.e. average, to 1.05, which is above average. So that's interesting. He'll be able to run just a little bit faster than usual. Alright, so the first weapon that's coming with Wukong Prime access is going to be Zeus Prime. Zeus Prime being a crossbow, so obviously if you're interested in using crossbows, this is going to be the first crossbow Prime. Get on it. So, Zeus Prime will sport some changes that are buffs, as well as a couple of changes that are nerfs, but also one change that is actually not really a nerf, depending on how you look at it. So the first thing we're going to look at is the critical chance. It's going to go from 20% to 26%. What that actually means is that if you use Point Strike, just one Point Strike, without a Riven and all that jazz, if you just use Point Strike, then we're going to be seeing 50%, or rather 65% critical chance on Zeus Prime, as opposed to 50% critical chance on regular Zeus. Overall, real talk, 65% critical chance with Point Strike, it's okay. It's not like the biggest thing in the world, especially for an arrow firing weapon. It's kind of like how I feel with the Daiku. Having a low status chance on a weapon like this is probably not going to be that big of a deal. Although, the fact that it's coupled with a faster fire rate of 5.5 as opposed to 4.17 means that you'll probably want to use Point Strike on this weapon. So this weapon could end up being a semi-decent critical status hybrid. Let me know what you think about that. But otherwise, the other changes are a slightly longer reload time of 3 seconds as opposed to 2.5 seconds, and a lower status chance of 30% as opposed to 35%. Now keep in mind, if you use all of the 60/60 mods on Zeus Prime, then you'll still be able to hit 100%, no problem. This is the same with any weapon that has 30% critical status chance. You actually need to have less than 30% status chance for that to no longer be a thing. So if you still want to use this weapon as like the status weapon of choice, then you can still do that with Zeus Prime with that 30% status chance. But with 35% status chance, I don't even know if that means you don't even need one of them. I'm not 100% sure. But overall, that's probably not going to be a meaningful change. Otherwise, the only other thing is the weighting of the base damage for Zeus Prime has shifted. It's now more balanced, but it's actually turned from a puncture weapon, which is Zeus, to a slash based weapon, which is Zeus Prime. So you probably still want to get that 100% status chance going so that you can also do quite a lot of slash procs. Hopefully with hopefully with Point Strike and Vital Sense, you can also do a semi-decent amount of critical damage. I personally won't be caring too much about this weapon, simply because I don't really care about the crossbows in general, but if you're interested in a crossbow, i.e. a crossbow prime, this will probably be the way to go. And finally, we have the melee weapon that's coming with Wukong Prime. So it's going to be the Ninkondi Prime, Nunchuck Prime, the first Nunchuck Prime of its kind, obviously, so that's really good. So let's have a look. Ninkondi Prime, I believe, is actually going to be a lot stronger. Like, the change between Ninkondi regular and Ninkondi Prime is going to be heaps better than Zeus to Zeus Prime, so let's have a look. So the first thing is the critical chance has actually been increased from 10% to 22%. That is a huge change. Low critical chance on melee weapons, and by low I mean like 20-ish%, that's not that big of a problem because Blood Rush exists, and because of the way melee weapons work, you can really build up that critical chance really easily. So having 22% critical chance is actually a huge deal with a melee weapon like Ninkondi Prime. Coupling that with an increase in critical multiplier from 2 to 2.4, this weapon is going to be doing a lot of damage, and a lot of damage. That's really good. So I'm really excited for just this change alone. Another change is the status chance. We're going from 35% to 36%. That's barely anything. That's not actually going to mean anything at all. If you want to just use 2 of the 60/60 mods to bump up that status chance, that's perfectly fine. You could potentially use Weeping Wounds as well if you want. That's entirely up to you, or you just use one of them because this weapon still has innate electricity damage, so you only need to use one of them and then maybe use Weeping Wounds, and you'll be able to get 100% status chance pretty quickly with Weeping Wounds. And a high enough combo multiplier, you should be fine, because another big thing is that this weapon now has impact, puncture, and slash damage. So obviously, the amount of electricity damage that it does will be nerfed. It's going down from 45 to 24 electricity damage. Obviously, not that big of a deal. That also means that it's going to be less corrosive damage if you put in something like the Toxin 60/60 mod with this weapon. But at the same time, we're going to be seeing slash damage of 11, impact damage of 13, and puncture damage of 6, which means that in terms of the physical status procs that you're going to be getting, it's going to basically be half and half, slash and impact. So that's really good. Impact probably not all that terribly useful in the long run, but definitely being able to get some slash procs is going to be really good. That means you can also use something like rendering combo, or that combo mod, where as long as you do slash procs, that also counts towards the combo multiplier sort of build up. That means that this weapon is going to be really strong. So once again, we're seeing an increase in critical damage through critical chance and critical multiplier, and we're also seeing a slight increase in status chance, but we're also seeing slash procs being a thing that this weapon can do. So the Ninkondi Prime, I think I'm going to actually go and farm this weapon specifically, because I'm very interested to see how well this weapon will fare. So that is the Wukong Prime access. Wukong, Zhuge, Ninkondi Prime. Overall, I'm probably only excited for Ninkondi Prime. Wukong Prime, I'm sort of I'll probably just wait until he gets cheaper, and then I'll just buy his parts through the trade chat. But for Ninkondi Prime, definitely want to go and farm those parts so that I can build it and see how well that particular weapon works. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Otherwise, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more WarFrame content. We also have a very exciting day of uploads coming with a 1 hour and 20-minute discussion on Chen, the big panda man from Heroes of the Storm, because he did get his rework and we are finally able to discuss him after playing with him, or at least my friend played with him for a while, so we can have a chat about that. So if you're interested in Chen, the big panda man in Heroes of the Storm, stay tuned for that particular video. That's coming soon, depends on when I upload this video at least. But otherwise, until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.